I'll tell you what I do know. There's about 20,000 dead kids. And even if they're not,
How many dead
by the way, do you grieve over those three kids that died recently? Do you grieve over those kids, those children that were stabbed?
Will you be quiet?
Do you care? Is there 1,000? Is it 2,000, 3,000, 5,000? How many dead kids are there? How many dead kids? Do you value their lives? Do you?
You did that as a Marine.
Do you value the lives of the Palestinian children?
I should be throwing myself out in a few minutes.
You're a Marine. Children got killed. It's called collateral damage.
Too many kids.
You're going to have to go. You're going to have to go out. Listen, you're ruining the program.
Yeah, war.
You're going to have to go out.
You've never been in a war. I've been in a war.
Yeah,
listen, war, that's a slaughter.
No.
If anyone should know what constitutes war and specifically a slaughter, I'd imagine it would be a soldier. But again, here we have dumb and even dumber. Yes, James Whale and Ash Gould, who couldn't even fight their way out of a torn paper bag, even with the sat-nav switched on, pontificating, reading out the Riot Act on the delineation of war and genocide to no less than a retired US Marine. The dystopian mind boggles. The sheer hubris of these two Rupert Murdoch acolytes and Netanyahu shills knows no bounds. It should be a criminal offence that these two melts be permitted to indulge their foolery on anything connected to the horrific Gaza conflict. Why anyone grants these two the time of day is beyond me. So let us observe.
Let's welcome our first guest onto the show, Kenneth O'Keefe, who former US Marine in the Gulf War. Kenneth, thank you very much indeed.
I believe in God, by the way, which is different from the religion that I think you're confusing perhaps myself with.
Why do you believe in God? Why do you think there is a God? With all the trouble on this planet.
Put me on for a longer program. I'll give you a diatribe on the whole damn thing. I have had miracles done to me. I have witnessed miracles. I shouldn't even be here. I was already dead, came back from the dead, brain damaged, starved, tortured. I've been through all of it. So, you're not going to be... You can believe whatever you want to believe.
Listen, I'm terminally ill. Yes. I may be here in a month. Yes. I may not. I don't know. It's been going on for a few years. And I've got a number of tumours and I'm on treatment and everything else. But it's got nothing to do with God. It's got to do with... I believe that your life is probably mapped out in some kind of way I can't even think or explain. And you might call that God. I don't know. But... I think these are things that people should keep to themselves rather than arguing about, because arguing is what brings us to the subject we were talking about mainly, is what's happening in the Middle East. We seem to be...
Well, Hamas specifically.
Just a minute, will you be quiet for a moment? We seem to believe everything that comes out of the Hamas, who are terrorists, I'm sure you agree with that, who are over there doing despicable things, both to Palestinians and anybody else they can. And yet our mainstream media put out whatever Hamas tell them as a fact.
Do you know that 0.02% of the human population has a massively disproportionate amount of control of the mainstream media?
I do.
Do you know who controls Hollywood? Are you suggesting that Hamas
Disney
is a counterweight to the
Are you saying Hollywood is the media? The movie industry is the media?
And these are
the movies aren't the media.
Facts and truth.
Be quiet.
Truth. I don't disagree that propaganda exists on all sides, but the idea that the Islamic propaganda outweighs the Jewish propaganda for the Jewish state of Israel
is
foolhardy
at
best.
Listen, that is not
You're mixing up the media with Hollywood. You're mixing up reality with movies.
You know, I think about sacking him every week, and I'm really beginning to think about it now. Yeah. The problem is...
I can use your mind.
You can't. The problem is that we are now allowing Hamas, who are terrorists, you've got to...
Listen, let me reply.
There's no way you can
I want to give you the satisfaction of getting a different answer from anything. First off, genocide. Let's get into that. To destroy in whole or part a national, ethnic, or religious group. That's Black's Law Dictionary. I've been quoting that ever since I made a film called The United States of Hypocrisy.
Which is not what's happening,
about
is it?
the Hawaiian genocide 25 years ago.
Is it?
That policy is carrying on to this day. Now, with regard to terrorists, the government in Ireland right now was the terrorist of the day back in Thatcher's days. Do you ever hear of a guy named Nelson Mandela? You ever hear of him? Yeah.
Patronising me.
Both sides of Ireland had terrorists. Both sides. You don't know what...
According to Margaret Thatcher and Ronald... terrorist. He became a much revered and respected man. He did.
You don't understand.
He did. So... Listen, Hamas, by the way, was democratically elected. They have never been given an opportunity to allow the political process. Jimmy Carter himself said it was a valid election. Now, if you ask about what they...
nearly ruined the world. You can't go on like that. Jimmy Carter and Obama, probably the two worst presidents in America
if
sitting
you want
outside.
to say that the election was invalid, fair enough. You don't have to like them. I don't like any of them. They all should be. I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, to fight all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help me God. But I took that serious. That was a 19-year-old kid that I was. I've taken that serious ever since.
So you've got the experience to understand.
They're all traitors, all of them.
But why,
every president except Kennedy.
Why is it now acceptable, let's put it this way, and you please be quiet, why is it so acceptable to be anti-Semitic? We've had marches through our
The Palestinians are Semitic. They are speaking Semitic languages coming from the Semitic region.
It's perfectly acceptable to walk through the capital of this country shouting, "Kill the Jews," from the river to the sea.
Where do you hear that?
I've heard it on a lot of news programs. They're not putting it out now.
Which news program? I want to know.
News programs.
Which one?
Go and look.
I've looked all the time. I've never heard anybody talking about.
Let's talk about the 40,000 dead. Let's talk about the 40,000 dead.
Well, please tell the whole audience where to find it. I don't know where to find that. I've not seen nothing about kill the Jews.
Palestinian flags, kill the Jews. There've been people.
I've never seen any kill the Jew stuff.
Well, then you haven't watched
I haven't seen it. I'm not doing my research.
You're denying it. They all do that. But let's talk about the 40.
Where is it?
All right.
Why can't you cite it? Show it. Tell people where to go.
I am not going to go and find it. Go online and look for the martyrs.
From the river to the sea. You've seen that, haven't you?
Do you know about Greater Israel? Do you know what Greater Israel is?
Forget all this crap. What about the 40,000? Let's talk about the 40,000. Let's talk about.
Do you know about Greater Israel?
Forget all that crap.
Do you know about the Samson option?
Just forget all this conspiracy crap. Let's talk about what's going on.
There's no conspiracy.
Let's talk about what real stuff.
Samson option's a conspiracy.
All right, let's talk about.
Do you know a guy named Mordecai Vanunu who exposed the nuclear weapons program?
Do you believe there's 40,000
dead? How about John F. Kennedy who stood up to them and wanted Demona inspected?
This is irrational.
There's no conspiracy theory there.
The main story we're trying to talk to you about is the 40,000 dead. Do you agree there's 40,000 dead with the Hamas health ministry?
Do you agree with that?
You look confused.
Okay, excuse me. You are trying to ask a leading question to get the answer you want. I'm going to answer the question. I'll tell you what I do know. There's about 20,000 dead kids. And even if they're not,
how many dead
by the way, do you grieve over those 3 kids that died recently? Do you grieve over those kids, those children that were stabbed?
Will you be quiet?
Do you care? Is there 1,000? Is it 2,000, 3,000, 5,000? How many dead kids are there? How many dead kids? Do you value their lives equally?
Quiet now.
Do you?
You did that as a Marine.
Do you value the lives of the Palestinian children
I should be throwing
equally?
myself out in a few minutes.
You're a Marine. Children got killed. It's called collateral damage.
Too many kids. By the 4th largest military in the world.
Hang on, both of you.
Weapons.
Be quiet, both of you, or you're going to have to go. You're going to have to go out. Listen, you're ruining the program. You're going to have to go out.
You've never been in a war. I've been in a war.
Listen,
war, that's a slaughter.
No,
you need to go. I feel, like most normal people, sorry for anybody, particularly children, who get killed. Exactly. Very bad. For the hundreds of thousands of kids across the world, in Yemen, in Sudan, various places that never come on our media. I feel sorry for all of them. I also feel sorry for our Jewish community, who sometimes are now living in fear in parts of this country because of the people who seem to want to support a terrorist organisation. Even our media, the BBC, who the sooner we get rid of them, the better, as far as I'm concerned. Not until I've done Celebrity MasterChef.
British Propaganda Corporation.
But you know, they just take and put out what a terrorist organisation say.
I thought you liked the BBC.
Just be quiet.
You like the BBC.
Sorry about this, but I mean, every week I am going to sack him. I've had him for 25 years.
The collateral damage is one-to-one. It's a record in urban warfare. If you speak to Colonel Richard Kemp.
Ash, I've got only a few seconds.
Did you believe in the weapons of mass destruction too,
Ash?
Not
at all.
Really?
Look,
neither did I.
Can you not look at him and talk to him because he's a pain in the ass? Listen, the fact is that we are living in a society where social media bend the truth. And they don't do it on purpose. The fact is that human beings are lazy and we tend not to look into what we've seen. And so if you see something that's online, you think of it the same as it being on the media or whatever. And eventually it all will be. But you must use your own mind to make up decisions and not be told by other people what to think. Had there been genocide on the West Bank, and by the way, on Gaza, by the way, the people who go around like the Jewish settlers, I would lock all of those up. Set fire to that village the other day. In my mind, vile, horrible. But let me just make this point and then you can come back. The point is, had there been any kind of genocide in Gaza, it would have been finished, the fight, a long time ago.
About a week.
Okay, listen. Now, as a student of law who takes law very seriously, it seems, James, that you're waiting for every single one of the Palestinians to be exterminated before you're willing to acknowledge a genocide. The whole point of bringing charges at the International Criminal Court is to avoid the ultimate genocide. Now, by the way, Greater Israel, getting back to it, you say it's a conspiracy. That's ignorant, by the way. Greater Israel is an absolutely declared intention plan. And guess who stands in the way of Greater Israel more than anybody else? The Palestinians, because they have a lawful claim to that land. Historic Palestine is known as a factual reality. It's in the Bible, which you may or may not care about. The bottom line is the history books make this clear. Jesus was a Palestinian from Nazareth, no less. These are the descendants of Jesus of Nazareth. Whether you love him, hate him, acknowledge him,
you take it back to history, we're never going to get anywhere,
we've only got a minute left. Can we not talk about the 40,000 dead? Can we not talk about
historical facts?
Are we going to talk about that or not?
What do you want to talk about?
I want to, because
what do you want to know?
I want to know if you think 40,000 dead is the lowest ratio of innocent people killed compared to terrorists in modern urban warfare.
If we listen to the Lancet, they say the actual number is going to be about 187,000.
So Hamas are underestimating it, are they? Hamas are on Israel's side.
Well, then wouldn't that really upset you then, Ash?
Well, it's obviously a load of bunkum,
So what do you think of the Lancet? Since you don't like Hamas, what do you think of the Lancet? The British medical journal, the Lancet. What do you think of their
BMA? They're totally non-political. Yeah, cool.
So who's your source then for truth?
You know about the
How do you know anything? Where do you get your knowledge?
Thank you both.
So you want to downplay the dead people for what?
Say goodbye.
You get paid to say
David
this?
Icke. Knowledge.